to my channel. So today I'm going to rank all of the eyeshadow palettes that I used in the month of June. We're officially midway through the year and I have obviously been enjoying ranking my palettes the last few months. I definitely got a lot of inspiration from Caitlin House Makeup. She does her own tier system and I kind of copied her. I mean, I did copy her, and obviously, you know, a lot of people do ranking videos, but I think she's the only one where I've seen do them in their own sort of different categories. So I have kind of changed the categories, or like the names of the categories, this month versus last month. But I do have 4 this month, and we're going to start from the worst to the best. Within their own little tier system, I don't think I have ranked the palettes, because I kind of just see them all as the same. Okay, so anyway, let's get into it. So I used 16 palettes in total this month. These are palettes where I've used at least 2 shades from the palette. There are other palettes that I have got into, but I've only used 1 shade and I'm not going to be ranking them in this video. Okay, so the 4th tier, the worst tier, I am naming it blah, because I feel like all of these palettes have been blah to me this month. The first one that sits here is the Chilling in Chicago from BH Cosmetics. I tried to go back into this palette for my 7 palette 7 looks video that I did. It's also a palette that's on my chopping block, and unfortunately this palette is just going. The quality is no good. The mattes are just blending out into nothing. The shimmers still work fine, so what I might do is just keep the shimmers and get rid of the mattes. But it was definitely blah for me because it was a hard palette to work with this month. And BH Cosmetics I love. I mean, this is a palette that I used to love, and I would still love it if the formula wasn't going, but unfortunately it's just a bit old now. So anyway, next one is the Alva from Odin's Eye. So this one was also a palette that is in my chopping block, and it was in my 7 palettes in 7 days, and I'm going to be returning that series this month because it was a lot of fun. A lot of you really enjoyed it. So this one I did a look. I liked the look. I mean, the thing about this palette is I don't think there's really anything terrible about it, but for me it's just blah. I don't love it. I even went into more of these brownie tone shades, and it was fine. The look was fine, but overall my feeling of it was just blah. So it's a blah palette for me. I still haven't decided if I'm going to declutter it. I just don't know. And then the third one in this group, there's only 3 palettes that I've put in the blah category, is actually my Berries palette from Beauty Bay. So again, that was in that same video. This is another palette that's in my chopping block where I hadn't used it at all. I did go into it this last month, and I obviously did a pink berry look. I really like the look, but I think as a palette in, like, just as a whole, it's blah to me because I'm not into monochromatic palettes anymore, and that's a reason why I just depotted all of my ColourPop palettes, all of those 9-pan monochromatic palettes, because they just weren't appealing to me anymore, and I feel like it's just not how I like to do my makeup. And this kind of falls into the same vein that if I could depot these easily, I definitely would, but they're not magnetic and I can't be bothered to rip this palette apart. So it was something that I was thinking of maybe potentially letting go in my collection, and I still haven't yet decided. I feel like the look was pretty, but it's just not a palette that I want to go into all of the time. So for me, it's just a blah palette because I don't go into these shades all the time. However, the formula is Beauty Bay, it's beautiful, so I have no complaints there. It's just more about the color story, and the vibe. Okay, so this next tier, none of these palettes were disappointing. Actually, this tier are palettes that surprised me this month in a good way. They are still in tier 3 because I don't love these palettes, but I was surprised by them in a good way, and I feel like they should be separate from the blah category. So the first one is the Dangerous Love from Makeup Revolution. This also was in that video where I had 7 palettes and 7 different looks, and this again is also a chopping block palette, but I genuinely thought that the look that I created with this was very pretty. My son's in the background making quite a lot of noise, so if that's annoying to you, I do apologize, but it is what it is. I really loved the look that I created with this palette, and I was really surprised. I mean, the formula and the quality of Makeup Revolution, it is what it is. It's just not great, but I felt like the look looked really pretty, and I didn't have to work for it too much. So actually, I don't think this is a palette I'm going to be getting rid of it, even though it was on my chopping block. Just considering how I felt after using the palette, I was really pleasantly surprised. I really enjoyed it, and some of you also liked the look that I created with it as well. So yeah, it surprised me in a good way. I don't know, I wasn't expecting it. Okay, another one that has been on my chopping block for a really, really long time is actually the Quarter Rosa from Sigma. I continued to be disappointed with this palette for quite a few years, and then I also had it in that video, and I really enjoyed the look that I created with this palette. I was like, whoa, hold on a minute, this is a palette that I hate. How come I'm enjoying this look so much? How come I'm enjoying the formula so much? You know, I did a more of a gold look, so I went into the browns over here and then this gold topper shade. So I kind of stayed away from all of the pinks and purples that I would normally go into. My dog's down here. It's a loud video, I do apologize. But I really liked the look. So it was, I think, the first time that I've actually gone into this palette and enjoyed using it. So it was a surprise. I was like, hold on a minute, this is actually really pretty. So I'm gonna give it a little bit more time. I'm gonna play around with it a little bit more. But yeah, it surprised me in a good way this month, because I've always said I hated their formula, and now I'm like, do I hate it, or have I just changed? Have I changed? I don't know. Okay, and then I'm going to talk about these two together just because they're small. So I have these two from Odin's Eye. These also surprised me this month, and these are also in that video. So if you watch that video, you'll like, none of this will be a surprise to you. So I have the Verdandi, and I also have the Alba 2 Mini Ocean palette from Odin's Eye. So these two, including the Alba palette, actually I all got in a mystery bundle a couple of years ago from Odin's Eye. So this is the Mini Ocean. I did a look with all of these shades in my 7 days 7 palettes video, and I actually really enjoyed the look. Like, when I was creating the look, I wasn't convinced. I definitely, even like watching back when I was editing that video, I was like, this is a pretty look. Why aren't you saying this is a pretty look? Because objectively it was a pretty look. But when I was putting it on my eyes, I was like, what am I doing? What is going on? But actually I really, really enjoyed the look that I created with all of these. I used every single shade, and it was fun, and I really, really liked it. The only thing I will say is I feel like the mattes were very powdery, so I don't know if the formula is going a little bit, but what I think I will do is what I originally wanted to do is I think I'm just going to save these special shades and not save the rest, because I have these shades already in my collection and I just don't feel like I need to double up on them. At the same time, I went into Verdandi as well, and this one I went into all of the shades again, a slightly different type of look, but I actually really enjoyed this look too. And this one has always been a palette where I've really enjoyed the formula, but it's just not the best color story for me. But I went into everything and I was like, hang on a minute, this is actually really pretty. So I really enjoyed it as well. I definitely want to keep these two middle shades. I just don't feel like these other 4 shades are unique enough to keep in my collection. So I think I'm gonna do what I said I was gonna do and just keep the special shades. But definitely surprised me in a good way, where I did just one look with everything and it wasn't a disaster, which I appreciate. Okay, so that's everything for tier 3 of all the palettes that surprised me in a good way. The next tier is any palette that I would basically recommend. I mean, I kind of would recommend all of these palettes depending on your tastes, but these are palettes that I would definitely recommend. Obviously, I love them. I really, really have enjoyed them this month, or however long I've had them. And I would ultimately recommend them to anyone because I do think they're really pretty. So, all right, so the first palette is from WhatsUp Beauty. It is the Geods palette. And this one I have really been enjoying. I actually have it in my Pan Nose eyeshadows. I'm working on this shade in my Pan Nose eyeshadows, but I did dip into this shade. I actually have that shade on today, and I dipped into, I think, one other shade, and so obviously I wanted to rank it in this video. And I just think this is such a pretty palette. I generally think it's gorgeous, and it's just a lot of fun, and obviously the formula is really, really pretty in this palette as well. And I definitely, if you haven't tried WhatsUp Beauty, I would recommend you trying this out, just because I think they're so pretty. They're so pretty and the formula is great, so I would recommend it. I just think it's gorgeous. Okay, next up we have the Gal on Venus from GlossGods. This one is so much fun. I picked it up last month, and honestly, I'm so glad that I did. It's been so much fun going into it. I still haven't gone into it as much as I really want to, but quite frankly, the weather has been so bad here and gloomy, and this is a palette that I really wanted to wear out in the sun. So, you know, it's just what it is. But I've been really enjoying this, and it is still available on their website. I have seen, I don't think it has been sold out yet. It did kind of release, I think, in December time, some around then. And I think they have this on discount as well, so it's not even the full price. I just think there's some gorgeous shades in here. Obviously, if you're not into these reddish orange tones, then obviously you can skip it. But I would recommend this to anyone really, because I think it's a lot of fun. And it was a palette that I didn't want to get because I wasn't all that interested in the color story. I was like, I have enough orange, I have enough browns. Do I really need this? But there's just some gorgeous flips to these. And yeah, I would definitely recommend it. Okay, next up I have Cosmic Brushes Delicious Delights. I don't think enough people talk about this palette. Obviously they came out with their new palettes and they look stunning and gorgeous, and all of their other releases have been stunning and gorgeous. But this one is stunning and gorgeous too. And actually I saw this on Monolith and it's on sale. So if you are in the EU and you want to get it on, for a discount off, last time I checked, it was actually on sale. Or of course you can just order it from the UK site, but I'm not sure if they have it on sale there. It's so beautiful. I've had it for a few months now, and it wasn't a palette that I really was expecting like a lot from. I was like, oh, that's pretty, I want to get it. But actually there's just so much versatility in this palette. It's not quite a rainbow palette, but I think it's a beautiful spring summer palette, and you have these gorgeous like flips, these flippy shades that are always so stunning, and I've had a lot of fun with it. So yeah, I would recommend this. I think it's gorgeous, and obviously I've dipped into it more times this month. I couldn't help myself. I went into this lime green the other day, and I've gone into, I think, the white and some of these other greens, and maybe this orange as well. It's just a beautiful palette. Okay, something else that I went into this month is the Nouveau palette from ABH. I've always enjoyed this. It was more of a subdued color story, and it's why I got it. I just thought it was so stunning and so beautiful, and I did go into it a few more times this last month. So I have to rank it here. I went into some of these green shades, went to Liberty, Wings, and Hope, and it was just fun to revisit it. Obviously, I did hit pan in this the previous month, so it's not like a palette that I've been neglecting. It is in my year-long project pan, so potentially it will keep coming up in these ranking videos. But I did want to do a green look, and I went into these greens and I really enjoyed it. And I love the formula of ABH, and I especially think this is really good as well. And I've just always loved this color story, especially for this time of year, like for more spring. Obviously we're in summer now, so it's a little bit less of something I want to do, but I wanted to do that green look, and I think these greens were the vibe that I wanted. So it definitely worked out for me. And also you have like these oranges too that you could use for summer. So I do think it's a versatile palette, and very pretty. And I went into this shade as well for my my nail polish at one point too. So really fun palette, and I would recommend. I would. I'm being visited by my son, by my dog. My partner's outside doing the grass, so I'm sorry if it is a very noisy video. It is what it is. We are just living life right now. So the last palette that I have in this category before we move on to the first tier is the Equalizer Volume 2 from Sample Beauty. So this is my project level up right now, and I would recommend anyone to pick this up. I really would. Not only is Sample Beauty formula really easy to work with, they blend really well, the shimmers are absolutely gorgeous, but it is also quite a versatile color story. I did say in my last update that these colors are kind of dark for this time of year, but I do still think it's a palette that you could use all year round, because if you go into like some purples and more cooler tones, you have it in here. You have the blacks and whites just to change it up as you wish. Loads of browns. I mean, these top two rows are definitely more spring summer vibes, but I definitely think there is enough here that you could just use this all year round if you had to or wanted to. I think it's a lot of fun, and I've been really enjoying it, my project level up. So I do recommend it. I don't even know if you can get it anymore, to be fair. I have no idea. I got it on sale. It was always on sale on Beauty Bay like a year and a half ago, and I finally picked it up for like 15 pounds. But I don't even know if it's available, but if you can get your hands on it, I would recommend it. Okay, and then this next and last tier, obviously they are the ones that like tip the scales only slightly, but I would classify these as oldie but a goodie because they're all old palettes, right? So I kind of just wanted to put them here. I feel like the last two tiers I would recommend them to everyone, but I just don't know for the most part if you can get any of these palettes. So it's hard for me to recommend them, but obviously if you can, or if you have them already, use them because I really, really love them. And I do think that even though they're old, they still work really well. So the first one here is my NARS Afterglow palette. I'm going to be careful because it can blind you with this one. I've had this since the beginning of my channel, so a few years now, and I really just enjoy it. I love it. I feel like the quality is still really good. I pulled this from my Shop My Stash this month and I dipped into some shades already, and I actually want to go back into it before I film my next Shop My Stash because I haven't used it enough because it's just so pretty. I love the shade. This is called Push It. It's one of my favorite shades in my collection. It's just so gorgeous, like a peachy, shimmery pink. It's just divine and perfect for the summer, and I just love this color story, especially for the summer. And it's just a palette that I've neglected for quite a while in my collection, but it is an oldie and a goodie, so I have to shout it out. Next up, we've got the Stone Vibes from Urban Decay's my Panda palette. I'm pretty much going to mention it every single month because I'm going to be using it every single month. But this one, I do think, oops, obviously it's old, you can't get it anymore. That's as much as I'm going to show you. I haven't really used it that much this month, but obviously I've used it quite a bit more than any of these other palettes. And it's just, if you still have it in your collection, just use it. It's the quality is so pretty. The formula is so stunning for Urban Decay. I just feel like it's just special. I've seen people say that they don't like the packaging because it's raised and it's harder to store. But this, come on, this is unique packaging. Like, you don't want everything to be the same. And I feel like they took a gamble with this. They took more of a risk and they did something different. And I just wish they would do more of that, quite honestly. But oldie but a goodie for sure. And then I've got two BH Cosmetics here. So obviously because of the chilling in Chicago, I feel like the formula is going, and that's my oldest BH. I'm like, oh shoot, I need to start using my BH Cosmetics palettes before they all like turn to dust. So I've got the Summer in Saint-Tropez. I used this again for Shop My Stash. So I pulled it just so I could use it a little bit more this month. And this has been such a pleasure. I dipped into the yellow and I dipped into, I believe, these two shades. Maybe one other shade, but I can't recall right now. And I've just been, like, this is such a beautiful summer palette, and I want to get more use out of it while it is summer. But again, I'm waiting for the sun to come out, which it looks like it'll be quite a bit sunny this week. So I want to do some more brighter looks as opposed to my like more wintry looks. It's just feeling a little bit brighter. So this one's been beautiful, oldie but a goodie. And if you still have it, I would encourage you to pick it up. And then another one, which is a very cool tone, and it kind of surprised me, but I really wanted to dip into this palette this month, is the Blueberry Muffin. So this one obviously is more like winter vibes, and it's not a palette that you would expect me to dip into this month, but I did because I wanted to go into some of these gorgeous lighter shimmers, which I absolutely did on a couple of looks this month. It's just an oldie and a goodie, and I don't want it to go bad, so I wanted to use it more. So yeah, I'm gonna love you and leave you now. That is all of the palettes that I went into, at least more than one shade this month, and I'm excited to see the palettes that I go into for July. I think it'll be a little bit more warm tone and maybe a little bit more summer vibes, just because finally I think the summer has arrived. It peaked in May, disappeared in June, and I feel like it's finally coming back. My son is actually off sick, so that's why he's here and not at nursery. So anyway, lots of going on, but thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.